I have a newer one, but some of the older ones have some, it's different.
Yeah. Okay. So this is kind of impromptu since I agreed to this 5 minutes ago. Um, and I got to take off the headphones. I can't talk and use headphones at the same. Well, I guess I can. Take one ear off. There we go. Okay. So I believe you have to use one of these and not use a mouse, only because can you even do pressure sensitive stuff with a mouse? I mean, how would you do that? It's painting with a mouse is like painting with a roller, you
Yeah,
know.
you can't do it unless you have a special mouse that has that. Those
Yeah,
things aren't cheap.
yeah. So, um, and for those who have to have a mouse and still want to, want to have a pad, but occasionally use a mouse, Wacom actually has a mouse that works on the pad. You can
Yeah.
do the same thing. Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Just
Same
bought
as
a
a
mouse.
pointer. The problem is with this, um, it's still going to be, on or off. You don't have your pressure sensitivity. Now, I've had a lot of Wacoms. I've actually worn them out. Okay, so and I've only been doing it for 10 years. So there you go. This one's actually battery operated and works remote, although I've never used it that way. Um, this is one of the smaller ones. This is the Intuit or Intuos, which is the most popular one for artists and stuff because it's pretty basic. Has some buttons in the side. There we go. Got to remember where my camera is. Got some buttons in the side. I don't use the buttons, but I use this wheel, and I've got the wheel programmed to uh, make my brush larger and smaller, so I can be drawing away with one hand and change the size of the brush with the other, which is kind of nice. Now this is the small one. There's 3 models. I used to have the medium one, and one day I went to Colorado, and I forgot my pen. It's like, oh man, I can't edit without my pen, and I was going to be there for a week. So I went to Best Buy and I found a small one of these for $200, and the pen was $100. So I said, now why not? So I bought a small one. I fell in love with it because I don't have to move my hand as far, and it's just as accurate. It does fine. Only lately have I gotten shaky where I really kind of need more space. But the key with these and learning how to do them, you can't have it set up to run like a mouse. Okay, you can't make it this so when you pick up the pen and you move it, it stays on the screen. You need to have it that so this corner is that corner of the screen. This corner is this corner of the screen. That's so when you put the pen here, it's going to show up on the screen in that spot, period. So you stop looking at the pad because where your hand is on the pad is exactly where it's going to be on the screen. And that's the biggest mistake people make is they put it in the mouse mode and they pick up the pin and they can move it up into the corner and down. And then when they put the pin down, they have no idea where the pointer is going to be. So it has to be, you have to have a mirror image of your monitor on your pad. So they're USB and they plug in, and there's software that's updated almost as regular as Microsoft updates theirs. So I like it. There's alternatives to this, and I can show you that if you want to see it. But yeah, so what kind of questions do you all have as far as, well, what is it you have the trouble with? By the way, about 5% of the people out there just can't do it. They just can't. They just can't do the hand-eye coordination thing right. So
Is it just like actually having an extension, like as if you were writing on a tablet, or is
yeah,
it?
it's like writing on the screen. Just imagine the screen is laying down here, and you're looking at it here, but you're drawing. There's a direct relationship between where your hand goes on the pad, uh, where your hand goes on the pad, and where it is on the screen. So if I move it up here, that's where my pointer is up in that corner. Down
Right.
here is this corner. So
So when you're
after
working in Photoshop, how does that correlate? I was watching a video last night through Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep, and one of the gals was telling me she was using um, her Wacom pad with the F keys, and she had certain things that she had already programmed to do all of that. And I thought, wow, I'm lost. I'm completely lost, because I look at the plus minus signs and the wheel and all those things, but I think, how does that correlate? I'm still using my pad as well. I mean, I'm still using my computer keyboard, correct, with the pad,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're using basically both hands, kind of ambidextrous
Mm-hmm.
situation there. So when you're doing that, you have to program your Wacom pad, correct, to
You
make it
don't
work the way you'd like it to work.
you don't have to, but yeah, you can
Oh,
customize
okay.
it completely. I mean,
Oh,
if you just plug it in and go, it's going to work. First of all, it's going to work like a mouse. And the first thing you have to do is go in and say, no, I want it to duplicate, mirror image the
oh,
monitor. Once you
right.
do
I'm
that,
just using it as a mouse. So,
yeah, yeah, don't use it as a mouse. That will drive you nuts.
okay.
Hey,
Or in my
Kim,
case, more nuts.
let me let me mention something. Kim, you might want to look at the Cintiqs. I have a Cintiq that I use at the studio,
Okay.
and maybe Dave's going to get there and
Yes.
talk about it a little bit. But
Okay.
there, you're actually editing on your image on a graphic display, and for some people that can't do the hand-eye coordination
Yeah,
thing,
that's
the
where I'm
Cintiq,
lost.
the Cintiqs are pretty cool. Dave, I'm going to flip back to you.
Okay.
Oh no, thank you for bringing that up. I tried one of those, and I'm not saying that they're bad. The one I got it cheap because the guy had won it and he sold it to me for $500. But it was this size. It was a 13-inch, and the resolution was so bad on it that I couldn't stand to look at it. Apple's already got me doing their displays are Retina displays. I don't see dots. I saw dots on that and it was like, no, can't. But they have better ones. They're more expensive though. I think the 24-inch one's like $2,500, but you're getting a monitor too, and you're drawing directly on it. I had trouble with that.
I have just a 13-inch, and the resolution's pretty good.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, it really is. So it may just be, luck of the draw. I don't know.
Nah, I think it was probably just me being a geeky, irritated person when it comes to pixels on the screen. No, it was
Nah.
nice. It was nice, but that's yet another skill, and it may be one of those things that I'm sure it is. If you already know how to use it without the screen, and then you try and use it with the screen on it, that's difficult. Okay, if you don't know how to use this yet, and you do it with the screen, then you're probably the learning curve is probably not as bumpy as starting with one and then trying to convert over. I saw a guy use one once, and it was like 36-inch. It was massive, but he had to keep taking breaks because his hand was up here all the time. It's like, oh, so I would want to have the thing down where I can work with it. Some other people I know have the Microsoft one where it's the Slate or whatever they call it, and I played with his too, and I couldn't get it to work because I just drawing on the screen just didn't work for me. But again, I think it's because I learned it this way, which makes it harder to learn the other thing. You're always good at what you learn. Now, who said something?
When you first started, what was okay, so I've only done it a couple times, and I hate to be, overpowering the group. I hope everybody is using one or wants to use one. I bought mine. A friend said, yes, this will make your editing a little bit simpler. This. I have to say, I'm much like Kelly. I've jumped back to my mouse because I'm so comfortable there. What is the first way to really start easing yourself? Because we are in quarantine and all of that, stuff. But what is the first thing? What's the best way to really start using it, other than dedicating yourself to it? But what's some of the tips that you would say? This is what I've learned using the Wacom pad. you know, as opposed to using, because I see Kelly do these wonderful things with his, and we were at a workshop, and he's doing the, what is it called, Kelly, when you're clicking the whole time to get.
Oh yeah, you're you're talking about the clone stamping the skin.
Clone stamping.
Oh,
And
yeah,
a
yeah.
friend of mine said, listen, yeah, you don't have to do all that. It's so much easier, blah, blah, blah. You just need to do this. Well, she explained it to me, and it, of course, went in one ear and out the other. And I thought, wow, that's, you know, yeah, I can see that, how that would make it a lot easier. The other thing is, you know, when you lift the pen up and lift the pen down, those are the kinds of things, I guess, there is such simplicity that you're not used to with a mouse, because your mouse is always touching the pad, or you know, is in contact, as opposed to you're literally using a pen as if you were writing. So can you give us maybe some tips on the way to start utilizing that, to make it a little bit easier? Because I got so frustrated, I had to go back to my mouse.
But the best way to do it, to force yourself, is to take the mouse and go stick it in the cushions on that sofa behind you there. So it's not within reach. I think what she did to make it quicker is she programmed these buttons to be what she wanted them to be. And she probably programmed one to be an option or an alt, so she could like click on the button to select for the clone stamp.
Okay, so tell us that. How do you do that? That's the part I just don't get this.
Oh, that's in the side. Do you use a Mac or a PC?
I use a Mac.
Okay, once you load the software, there's a thing in your utilities that you can go in and adjust. Let me.
I probably have. I actually paid someone to sit with me for about an hour. A very nice friend of a friend, and she went through some of it, how to load, how to do this, that, and the other. She's a graphic artist, and it's gone. So
yeah. Well, let me show you here.
Okay.
Everybody see my screen now?
Yes.
All right. Okay, this is the system preferences, and you see right here, when you load the software, it actually gives you something in the system preferences, and when you click on that, it comes up and gives you all kinds of functions. I'm using a machine that doesn't have a Wacom connected. Just a second.
Are there a lot of people in our group that use the Wacom?
Yeah, how many use it?
I do.
Oh, you do, Danny?
You know I do. We did the Bluetooth
Oh,
thing.
we talked about that. That's right. Yeah, we did.
I'm sending you a picture, Kim.
Okay.
So I agree with Dave. I think you should have Father Kevin hide your mouse. and honestly, spend like a day just playing around with. I mean, if you're doing a doodle or if you're sketching on a piece of paper, it's the exact same thing with the Wacom tablet. Exactly. Right. You just got to get that feel down. So you're probably used to looking at your sketch pad as you draw. Well, you got to look at your monitor, and your hand-eye coordination is a little different, but it's the same feel, same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to say, I'm still with Kelly doing the click, 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 because I just got so frustrated, and I'm like, this isn't working. This isn't making the connection with my head, my hand, and the pad.
It just takes a lot of practice, like he says, definitely. Okay. The reason why mine doesn't say it has a Wacom connected is because I'm using an XP pen on this one, which is a Wacom knockoff that's $100 that I really kind of like. But it works exactly the same way. I can program all the buttons and things. That's the software that you use. You can go into it and you can tell it, I want this button to type out my address when I press it. So when somebody says, what's your address? You can just reach over and push the button and it types it. Or you can make it your Alt key. On the wheel, you have to tell it, there's 4 things the wheel can do. And on one of them, you say, I want that to be my brush one. And you say, this is the brush sizer. And use this bracket for one direction and this bracket for the other direction. And that's what changes it. It's actually a lot easier than you think. When you get in and play with it a little, it's like, oh, well, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Okay. What does throw people off, and you kind of brought it up, and that's good because, after 10 years, it's hard for me to remember when I first started with it and went, oh, yeah. when your pin's up here, nothing happens. But when you get closer to the pad, your mouse starts moving around. Your pointer does.
Okay.
So you don't touch the pad. You can move it around just by, you can
Moving it about.
just hover over it, and your pointer will go where it's. If you click now or tap on the pad, this is where it's going to be. And then you've got your pressure. So when you do click on it, and the more you push on it as you're drawing, the harder you push on it, the darker it gets.
A comment to that would be lift, don't drag.
Yeah. Don't drag it around. You're right.
Don't drag it.
Pick it up when you're not actually drawing on it.
See, I think that's where my mistake comes from, and that I'm literally still in contact with the pad, and I'm thinking
pick
that
it up.
I've got to move it over to that edge, and
pick it up and just
horrible.
hover.
I was doing an edit, and I just okay.
I use the rest of the fingers on my hand to I'll slide back and forth, but the pin's not touching it.
Okay.
And that helps me figure out how high off I am from it. But then you've got the buttons on the pin, which also throw people off. If I just go down and I click on something, that's a single click, just like a mouse.
Right.
There's a button there. I can click on it, and it's like pushing the button on the mouse. Then you've got, this is actually a toggle switch. It goes one way or the other.
Yes.
This is a single click, and for me, I programmed this is a double click. So instead of double tapping on something, I can just tap on it and push that button, and it double clicks it.
Yes.
No, I have it programmed to be a right click. That's right, right click, because how do you right click with this, right?
You can right click because you can't.
It's a little different. Yeah. So when I touch this on a screen and press that button, it gives me the whatever menu or whatever a right click would give me. So, so you get all the features of the mouse, except you can now, like Danny said, one of the things that you need to do is just scribble. Just bring it up and start picking brushes and drawing and practice moving your hand around without dragging it, and draw in other places, and then change the color and then erase. In some cases, the back of it's actually the eraser. So it's just like a pencil. So it depends on what model you have. It's a matter of just practice. Now, when I've got mine plugged in, this whole thing isn't the screen. There's little corners that light up. Those are the corners of the screen. So there's actually more space here than there is for the screen itself. But you'll get used to that. But yeah, make sure that you go in and change it to say to mirror the screen and not be a mouse. That's the biggest problem.
Okay.
Because with a mouse, you never know where it's going to be, or you start to draw even in the middle, and it goes off the top of the screen, and it's like, no, you can't do it that way. So, but yeah, it'll become so second nature when somebody comes and visits and they see me, doing things with a pen, even if I'm on Amazon using it, to pick things and move windows around. They said, "You don't use a mouse for that?" I said, "No, I'm just too used to. I know where I'm at on the screen here. This is good." So the only reason I have this is because I play games occasionally, and you got to have a mouse. So yeah, programming the keys is easy, and you can do anything you want with them. If I'd known this is what I was going to do, I would have switched.
Dave.
Yeah.
You said that you had worn out a couple of your Wacom tablets. What was the problem with them?
Oh, the wearing out. It's really me. Some of the models, this part right here, was a soft plastic.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually ran the wheel enough times with my finger that it started bubbling up because I was stretching it and wearing it out. And this part here, I can see myself in it. That's how smooth it is. You can tell from,
oh yeah,
how much I've used it.
I had my Wacom tablet for about 7 years now. And just a comment to Kim, I got it as a gift. And when I tried it, I just couldn't get used to it. I set it down for a year. and I went to a Scott Kelby workshop. There's like 500 photographers there, and Scott asked how many people use a Wacom tablet.
Yeah.
About 80% of them did. I'm like, okay, there must be a problem. So I think what Danny was telling you, you really have to just say, look, I'm going to put this mouse down, and I'm not going to use it. And once I did that, it took maybe about 3 to 4 weeks before I really started getting comfortable with it.
Okay.
And now I do not edit anything without a Wacom tablet. It's very precise. It's pressure sensitive. Like if I want to do a light stroke on something, I can do that with a pen. When you stroke with a mouse, you're using the full pressure of a mouse, and sometimes you don't need that. So the Wacom tablet really is really great for editing.
Yeah.
And like I say, I don't use anything but a Wacom tablet now.
My background is in art, so I would have thought that it actually could have easily transferred that.
Oh, that
But
should
I
come
guess
natural
I've
for
gotten
you then.
so used to using my mouse and doing the
Mm.
clicking and all that stuff. So I guess it is a matter of just hiding that mouse and getting rid of it.
You got to put your mouse in a safe deposit box at the bank and don't
If you
use
have
it.
an art background, if you
Just
think
use
that-
a Wacom tablet, and I guarantee you'll never go back to a mouse.
Okay, and I'm sure I have several friends who are like, Kim, you just got to jump. I thought I had it, and then I started doing some different edits and backgrounds and playing in Photoshop and getting, different things. And I thought, oh no, I'm just too frustrated and too slow. I feel uncomfortable, and jumped back onto my mouse. So
It's just a matter of training yourself.
yeah,
That's all.
okay,
Yeah.
got it. Yeah.
I'm actually trying to bring up my Wacom so I can demonstrate it properly here.
If you want, I have 3 practice files that I came across years ago. The first one is, if you remember, like as a kid, the old dot game where you draw the lines and you try to, and that's all you're doing is trying to keep the line as straight as you can.
Okay.
The second one is like a little cartoon city. Same concept of almost like a connect the dots. So now you start going into diagonals and trying to draw roofs. And the last one's just a notebook piece of paper where you can just start writing whatever you would want on a normal piece of paper. But because you're starting to play with the angles and all of that and the pressure, and you're just trying to see how accurate you can be. But I can post them if you want them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody else wants them?
That's excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, yes, please.
I didn't even think about that. That's great.
That's
Okay,
good.
I'm going to share the screen again if I can remember how. Because I got my pad working. There it is. Now this should show up with some Wacom stuff. There we go.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so with this, I mean, it shows the devices because you can have more than one, or they may come up with some new fandangled way to do it. Here, you got tools. You can change how your buttons are going to be. What do you want each button to be? If you opt for this button to be something, you can decide whether it's going to be navigation or key clicks or what it's going to be. And the same with each of the things on the wheel. The one I have is actually a touch pad also. So it's like a Apple touchpad. I turn that off because, well, I got a pad sitting here too. What kind of pin you want to use, whether you want to use the mouse or you want to use their fancy grip pin. Well, one of those is fancy. I don't know which one it is because I don't have fancy. What you can also do is whatever application, you can add applications like for Photoshop, make it do these things.
Okay.
So everything you set up is for that app. Then if you want to have it for Lightroom, you can pick Lightroom and then you can change what the functions are. So now in Lightroom, it does different functions than it did in Photoshop for you, but it's more customized for exactly what you want it to be. Here's where you can adjust the pressure. Well, it's supposed to show me on there. Clicks and pressure. It's not doing it. That's weird. Here's where, see, I program mine. I told you I have one set for right click and one's double click. That's what it is. Because if you just tap on it, it's a click. So this gives you absolute full control over how it works. Did you know the back of it's an eraser? And it's the only difference is you don't have to blow off all the stuff left behind because there isn't any. And here's the most important part, mapping. There's the screen, there's the pad. Got to be like that. If you do it mouse-wise, it's going to drive you nuts. Okay, because then you lift up the pin and it's not going to be where you expect it to be. You got to have it in this mode. It gets fancy. It gets really weird when you've got two monitors because you can actually have one monitor on one side, one monitor on the other. You'd be surprised. It works just fine. But this is the important thing that you can get into, customize it. Don't customize it too much at first until you get used to it and find out what it is you want to do. Most important thing is just getting used to drawing with it. And I think the images he's going to give you to help, go from point A to point B and get used to the feel of the whole thing, and you'll be fine. And it won't take long, especially if you're an artist. I'm surprised too that you didn't just pick up on it.
Well, and I thought I would, but when I guess I'm just so used to my eye being down and looking here instead of up here, and then having my hand literally doing something peripheral instead, which I'm sure maybe if I was less frustrated about it, I probably would get it. But
well, there's two things there. I think she's right. I think the Cintiq is something you might want to look into.
Yeah,
you might absolutely love it.
Okay, that's not. I did for that.
So studies have already very clear. It's called muscle memory. If you've learned and you've done something so often where it becomes a capability without thinking about it, which it is, it's a subconscious capability. That's called muscle memory. To change it is natural. It's going to be hard. But what's funny is the brain can learn a new muscle memory. So as long as you're doing like Kenny talked about, doing it for a month for him, you continue to just keep pushing yourself, you will learn the Wacom tech.
And doing that clone stamp is already difficult for me with the mouse.
Yeah.
And so doing it on my pad, I can't even.
I know, I'm with you.
So it just gets a little overwhelming, and I'm like, oh, forget it.
Now, if I want to do the clone stamp, when I do the clone stamp with it, I have one hand on the Alt key, and I'll click on what I want, and then go somewhere else. But one hand's on.
But you're moving the pressure of the pen, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So that actually might be an easier thing. I just did not do it well, I guess.
Well, some things like clone stamp, there is no pressure thing. It's pick this up and put it over here.
Right.
Yeah, but you click down like here. I'm not down on the. Let me bring my.
Yeah.
This is the nice part about having this. When I'm doing this, I'm not touching it, but it's still, you can see it's still hovering around.
Right.
When I click down on it, that's when it's going to draw.
Okay. So if you're doing your clone stamp, let's say you're doing your clone, you're going to do the Alt and then you're going to put it down, correct?
Yep. See, the Alt clicks changes the thing for me.
Changes the thing. Okay.
And I click it on what I want, then I let up on it, and I go where I want to put it.
And then you just continue through. Okay.
I should do it on something that's a little more obvious.
I just have to practice.
And then if you do something that has sensitivity, like drawing, then you've got settings up here, which a lot of times I'm even confused about. Flow and opacity is okay, but over here is these right here is like
it's airbrush.
Yeah, there's airbrush, and then there's this right here. I don't remember what that one does.
Target.
That one over there is for pressure.
Right.
This is pressure? Okay.
No, the other one.
No, the other, yeah.
This one? The airbrush one?
The one you said you didn't know it. Yeah.
I just play with them until they do what I want. I go,
yeah,
I'm going to learn that someday. Okay, yeah, because right here I'm really super light pressure, and the more pressure I put on it, the thicker it gets.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I'm sure some of the practice which will be good. But yeah, you can.
So 2 to 4 weeks, that's what I need to be doing.
I think as an artist, you probably have it down in a couple of hours.
Oh, I hope so. That would be lovely, but yeah.
You've got some huge advantages over me. First of all, I don't have any muscle and I don't have any memory. So there's that. And what was the other one? Oh yeah, I tend to overthink things a lot, and I'm not qualified for that at all. So it's really, really much easier than you think. And a lot of things I've learned lately, oh really? That's really it? That's all there was to it? And I was worried about it. It's easy. In this case, it's just a matter of playing is all.
Yeah. I just learned some great keystrokes through one of the webinars that I was watching with Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep about some different things. And it was incredible how easy, simple, and overwhelmingly obvious that some of these things were. That could have saved me a great deal of time. Now that I know them, it's great. But this is the one thing that I just keep seeing how wonderful this little Wacom pad is, thinking, oh, I'll get to it. But it still scares me. So I just, yeah.
Gotta hide your mouse.
Editing the whole thing. Yeah, I'll definitely have to do that. That's the same with you, Kelly. Hide your mouse if he's still in here.
Ship it to yourself. That'll give you a couple days without your mouse.
There you go.
So you're a member of the Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep?
I am, yes.
Oh, I thought about that. There's no way I could hold it together for that.
I thought that, but I had a wonderful friend of mine who's a lactation consultant who I was offered photographs of a wee little babe who passed, and they were asked if I could edit them. When I first opened the edits, it was of course it's very difficult to see that babe that way. And the very first time I went with my local Hampton Roads person, which I'm sure all of you guys know who she's wonderful. She was wonderful, I have to say. We had twins, and but let me tell you, the gratification of being able to do that kind of work for these people is extremely over the top. That I just said, you know what, suck it up, Kim, you really need to do it. So I've been with it for almost 2 years now, and have luckily been able to bless a lot of people with memory photography for their babes. So yeah, it's something I really I love doing. Can't say I look forward to doing, but I do love being able to do it. And it's gotten easier in a way that is, I know what the end result will be, not what I'm walking into. But we have lots of counselors and people who are walk us through every bit of that. So it's a good thing. Give it a try. You should. Dave, you probably would be excellent in it. You probably would be really good. And we need you. So
I don't know. I applied when I first started, but I wasn't good enough. And there was plenty of people already doing it. But personally, I think that if I had a choice between being on the cover of Time magazine or giving a picture to parents that are going to mean everything to them, like forever, I would go for that.
Yeah.
You know, Time magazine's junk compared to that. So
well, it's just a matter of using the light. That's all. Just you know, and all you have to bring in is an LED, as I learned from a few people in different workshops. Kelly was one of them. Bring in a simple LED, get in there close, get all that equipment out of the background, and you can make some extraordinary art for these people. So tomorrow I actually have a photo shoot in Richmond for that. So, but I was going through the edits last night, and I thought this would be a lot faster and a lot easier if I knew my Wacom better. So I actually was considering texting Kelly about doing, you know, having somebody do that, which this worked out. It was a good opportunity. So I think God was listening to me for a second there and said, yeah, this is great. Lizette wasn't able to come in, but But it would make the editing a lot easier, especially just being able to do some simple changes by, you know, a couple clicks instead of me taking that long time with my mouse to do some of these edits, because I literally am still just using this mouse, and I got to get away from it. So,
Yeah, it's just
quick
a
question.
matter of practice. So
Yeah.
does anybody else have things to add to?
Yeah, I did. Kim, I know Wacom, if you go on their site, they even
Okay.
have tutorials on how to program your Wacom tablet.
Oh yeah.
It's all up there. So, you know, you can do it. And then there's a Capital Photography Center. There's a guy up there who teaches you how to use the Wacom tablet and how to program it. He's located up in Washington, and they're now doing some virtual classrooms. It's called Capital Photography Center.
okay.
And I took a class with him also.
Okay. Are there other people that are using Wacoms? I feel like I'm like the last person to not use it.
You are.
Josh.
No, I'm one. Even though I have a brand new one, you know, and it's still almost brand new. All my edits are via the mouse. I know. I mean, I'm a human systems integration guy. I know that the mouse or the Wacom tablet will provide me a more accurate representation of my thoughts, my desires to be on the screen. I just.
But your wife knows how to use it.
I was going to say,
she's
does
awesome.
Kalina know how to use it? Kalina knows, yes.
I know. It's not about knowing. It's about, like you. It's about, I make the edit the way I make it now with the mouse. I mean, what am I trying to do?
Come on, Kelly.
I know.
You're always pushing us. Now it's time for you.
I posted to the group and I posted to you, Kim, the
Yes.
link for Learn.
Learn. Okay. Yes.
They have a really nice, simple thing. And don't buy a big one. If you're going to go with a regular one, like Dave was saying, don't buy the large. Buy something. Yeah, I know. It's big.
I have this Intuos Pro, and I have the small one as well. And this is what's bad, is I didn't use the small one, and then I went ahead and bought the big one because I went to a wonderful workshop in Texas and thought, oh, well, I'm in love with that, and they're offering such a great deal. Well, now I have two that I don't use.
Yeah, the Kelly.
You might want to actually hook up the small one to practice with.
Agreed.
Because well, you know, I think it would just be easier. And then moving to the bigger one, if you do that, it will be easy. Going from the big one to the small one might be a little harder, but yeah, it's just a memory of how far you have to move to do that.
Yeah.
But I think you'll love it. Does anybody here not have a Wacom?
Probably not.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I actually kind of like this one better. And it's only $100 bucks. This is from a company called XP Pen.
Oh, I just ordered a small one of that. I don't know what it is. It's coming to Monday.
Cool. Well, what I like about it is I really use the wheel a lot. I mean, my hand is always on the wheel, whether it's on the Wacom or on this one. But this one is actually a wheel. I can feel it turning. And the center of it is like a mouse. If I wanted to program it that way, I could move things around with the center and then spin this. But really, I don't even use any of the buttons. I just use the knob. And I change the size of the brush on just about everything I do. So, you know, my left hand is doing this and my right hand is doing this. And I'm cranking along.
What other functions does it have on it, Dave?
All the same functions as the Wacom. It uses the USB-C, but that's about all that's different. It's got all the same buttons. I mean, it's got more buttons. 8 buttons here.
Is it cheaper?
$100 bucks.
Oh, yeah, that's cheaper.
And what I found is, you see how it doesn't look like it's worn.
Mm-hmm.
I've used it just as much as a Wacom, and it's starting to see a little bit of wear. But it's and Kim, as an artist, one of the things that you're going to find that changes on Wacom is it's brand new for you right now.
Right.
So when you move your pen on it, it's going to feel like paper. when it gets as smooth as mine, it's gonna feel like glass.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
So
Right now I feel like I tried it out the other day and I thought, oh yeah, jump back to my mouse.
yeah. Well,
Yeah, right. That's good. I'm glad
the
you
mouse
guys are here telling me that, because I just really need to just jump in, and this is the time. So yeah.
All right, cool.
Here, you got
Hey,
mail.
Dave, with the X Pen, you can also customize it, like you were saying you can do with the Wacom. Okay, cool.
Actually, I found that the driver for the X Pen is actually more reliable than the Wacom. Sometimes
That's
the Wacom
the
doesn't work.
reviews. Yeah, that's the reviews that I had read too.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I did learn though, don't try and use them both on the same computer.
Okay.
The drivers argue with each other and nothing works after that. So I've got one on one computer, one on the other, and they work so close to the same that I can't even tell, really. Somebody's got kids at home.
Dave, which one did you say you're using instead of the Wacom, the one you held up? I missed that.
Okay, it's called an XP Pen.
Awesome, thank you.
They've got different sizes of that too. I got the small one and it works just fine. So if you don't have one, that's a good one to work with. If you've got one, I have 3 Wacoms. So not going to throw them away until they stop working. I hope to wear them out before I die. Anybody else got comments or anything? No?
I'm good.
Hey, Dave, why don't you talk a little bit about pen pressure and that little icon on the brush and how that works?
Oh, I'm sharing, aren't I? Well, let's see here. You see how I'm changing the size? Let me put this back down here. Let's see. Sort of. So I'll be moving around like this, and when I need to change the size of the brush, I just spin it around here. See how it's changing the size?
Sorry.
Sorry about what?
I hit a button I did not mean to hit. Sorry.
Oh. So, and when you change brush sizes and stuff, it's just like a mouse. I mean, it's always going to look the same, pretty much. But again, I'm hovering to do this. So that's the part a lot of people miss. They think they have to be touching it. And yeah, you start drawing over stuff you're not supposed to. So you just hover and move from there. Like,
so while you're hovering, it's not actually doing anything to the screen, correct?
Nope. Okay. Just showing you where the mouse is.
Okay, gotcha.
Let's see.
Okay.
I click, drag, click, drag, click, drag, and done.
Okay.
Little bit of pressure, a lot of pressure. And that's, after a while, it will become second nature. And it'll be like, oh my God, I can't edit. I don't have my pad.
Well, yeah, and it's just like you're using a paintbrush.
Mm-hmm,
you know, how
exactly.
much paint you want to have on your.
So Dave, I just want to make sure I got this. So you just said after a while it'll feel, what'd you say?
Feel natural.
Exactly.
Did I say
it's called
natural?
muscle memory. So your previous comment saying you didn't have muscle and you didn't have memory. Now been broken.
Oh, you hot.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening now. It's just bad habit. There's also with a pen, I don't know how to find that section. There's a tilt. You can actually, you know how you can take a brush and you can tilt it.
Yeah.
And a pencil and stuff.
Yes.
You can do that with this. I don't see it used to show it as you went like that. You could see what it did to it, but
It's just the slider above where you were.
this one, tilt sensitivity. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
But I don't see the brush tilting and then it's showing the sample because that's what it usually does. But I'm going to leave it like that because I had it on normal. And nothing I do is normal. So.
Well, quick question. The one gal I was talking to, she said she has an artist pen as opposed to the pen that you receive with your tablet. What do you use an artist pen, or do others use artist pens, and what is the difference?
I don't know. Anybody got some input on that?
I do, Dave.
Me too. Go ahead.
No, Krista, go ahead. Ladies first.
Oh, wow. The art pen is just designed to do different brush angles, and you as an artist would probably like it.
Okay.
I took Michelle's class.
Oh, yeah.
And that's going to give you a really good foundation if you want that painterly look.
Okay.
I've got one here someplace. Go ahead, Danny, put your 2 cents in on it.
So you can get the basic pen that comes with if you bought the Intuos Wacom, which we got,
yeah,
the pen that you have is an upgrade to the basic pen. That's like the middle kind of a pro pen. That's going to give you different rotations and like 8,000 points of pressure. The artistic brush that Christy was talking about gives you more brush sensitivity if you are going to do painterly effects, but it also has a gyroscope in it. So when you rotate the pen like you do a brush, you get that rotation in the brush. You don't get that with all these other ones. So it will rotate the tip of the brush as well. That's what the artist brush does. The artist brush is about $100. This pen that we have is like $79, or the one I bought is $79. And then,
but the gyroscope allows the ability to make those like
gyroscope's probably not the right word. It's got some technology in it that when you twist the brush.
Gyroscope. I think you're right. I think you're correct in saying that. Yeah.
Think if you hold your pencil in your hand and you twist your pencil,
right,
your point rotates and moves. If you ever painted in a painting class,
yes,
if you were dropping some paint onto a canvas and you wanted to go up the canvas, you could turn around to the top to paint a flower petal. That's the kind of feel you're going to get with an artist brush.
Yeah. Okay.
You're able to add flair to the end of your strokes. It comes with 5 chisel point nibs and 5 bullet point nibs.
Okay.
And really to be able to flare it, to trail your strokes, and to lift your pen off, to lighten the end of those strokes like an artist would.
Yeah, but for what you're doing right now, Kimmy, I don't think you should invest in it. I think you should. If you do invest in it, and 2 weeks later you want to give it up, just give it to me. I'll take it.
Well, that's what she said. She said, oh, you'll really love this pen, and it's definitely worth it. It's only a few dollars more. And I thought, yeah, no, I'm still lost on the pad, let alone the pen. So
start with the basic.
Yeah.
Start with the basics. Start with the points, like the guys were saying with the tic-tac-toe, with signing your name. Just take a blank piece of paper and, blank canvas, sign your name to it, and then flourish it, and then just play and play and play. I don't use mine all the time, but when I do use it, I'm thankful that I have it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And after watching what Richard Studevant the other day, and I thought, wow, he's doing, I'm sure he's got the, all Wacom, tablets or whatever they are.
But Richard uses the critique one where the one you draw on, Dave?
The critique, yeah. He's got a huge one. Yeah.
It's CINTIQ, and they start at 13 inches and move up.
That's not happening, but I definitely can see the difference when I look at some of the people that I do know that have just the Wacom pad and they just have a basic pencil or a basic pen. And then some of them I'm like, wow, that looks really, really extraordinary. And that's why my friend actually mentioned, she's like, no, it's the artistic pen or something like this. And I said, oh, that's nice, Dave. That's really pretty. That's cute.
It explains why this is why I use a camera.
But I thought to myself, wow, that's, and I guess I've been to a few workshops. Most of the people use them. So, and most of the people that actually have come to the workshops have their Wacom tablets with them. So that's why I thought this has got to be something I have to jump into. And the difference I can see now that I'm actually paying attention in some of their work, which is nice. And some of them are artists who really do draw and those kinds of things. But like Danny, I think Danny, it was you and I who were talking about using those, the pens in one of the courses that we were looking at to do the paintbrush kind of strokes and things like that. So, which a friend of mine said she's that's the way to do it, is to get an artistic pen. I thought, there's no way. I can't even use the pad, let alone buy $100 pen. So
yeah, isn't the artistic one? It has that little dorsal fin on it.
I couldn't tell you. She didn't
It's
tell
got
me
a little
what
bump
it looks
on.
like. She says, and it's artistic and you'll love it. No, I don't think
Yeah,
so. I can't use this thing.
It has a little fin on it, and that explains that way you can tell which way you've turned it, since it has that ability. Right? With these pins, unless you can feel the buttons, you don't know which way the thing's pointed. Well, that makes sense. But yeah, I wouldn't suggest it until once you get going, oh man, now I need that pen. And I'm sure you've discovered these, right? The nibs.
I did accidentally.
Okay. Yeah. Falls apart and goes, oh, what are those?
Exactly.
I hardly changed mine at all. A trick that I learned, since we're out in the country now, when I sit down at mine, I always rub my hand over it and get all the dust off first. Because we get to have the windows open all the time. And it gets a little scrunchy when you're doing it without that.
Well, I need to jump in there. Thanks, Dave, for telling me all this. Everybody telling me this stuff. I feel like, this is my own little webinar.
Your own personal class. Yeah. Well, I'll send you a bill.
Yeah, okay. And I'll send you a blank check. Sure.
Including the signature.
Right, exactly. And I'll try it. Yeah, exactly. You see that little picture? It'll be a big X on there. Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be very good.
It's good seeing you guys.
All righty. Hey, good night, everyone. I gotta jump off. I've got another call I gotta get on. So have a great night,
you guys.
Thank you so much.
Fun.
Bye, guys.
Kelly.
Wash your hands, people.
Bye, guys.
See you later.
Have a
I
great
gotta
weekend.
take a nap.
And lock that,
Thanks, Dave.
Kim, lock that mouse up.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, sir. I will. Thanks, guys.